Hello friends, have you ever noticed that some people lose their cool over the tiniest things, while others seem unbothered by chaos itself? What if I told you that your zodiac sign might secretly reveal exactly what drives you absolutely insane? Let's find out what truly annoys each zodiac sign the most, and maybe, just maybe, you'll understand yourself and your friends a little better. After watching, if you'd like to support the channel, click the Thanks button right under this video or use the donation alerts link in the description. Your support really helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for being here. Now let's continue. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. Impatience isn't just an Aries trait, it's practically a lifestyle. This fire sign runs on adrenaline, ambition, and instant results. They wake up ready to conquer the day, and heaven help anyone who stands in their way. When an Aries wants something, they want it yesterday. Slow decision making? That's pure agony. Watching someone hesitate feels like watching paint dry on a rocket ship, pointless and painful. Aries lives for movement, progress, and forward motion. They hate waiting in line, buffering screens, or that friend who says, "I'll be there in 5 minutes," but shows up 30 minutes later. In traffic, they're the ones honking first, not out of anger, but out of sheer frustration that the world doesn't move as fast as their thoughts. Aries is wired for momentum, and any pause feels unnatural. When an Aries has an idea, they want immediate action. They're not big on, "Let's think about it." They're, "Let's do it." Whether it's a spontaneous trip, a new project, or even a simple plan, Aries moves before most people finish analyzing. This impulsive nature gives them power and passion, but it also makes them impatient with others who overthink. If you tell them, "We'll decide next week," you'll see that signature eyebrow raise, the universal Aries symbol for, "Why are we wasting time?" Their fire burns brightest when life keeps up with their pace. Slowness, hesitation, or bureaucracy drains their spark faster than a candle in the wind. Even in conversation, Aries can get restless if someone rambles. They prefer action-oriented people who get to the point. It's not that they're rude, they just crave efficiency. Every second feels valuable to them, and they struggle to understand those who seem content with delay. When you walk beside an Aries, you'll notice how fast they move, both physically and mentally. They walk like they have somewhere important to be, even if they're just heading to the coffee shop. Their energy is contagious, but if you can't match it, you'll see them impatiently tapping their foot. At work, Aries despises endless meetings that go nowhere. They prefer results over discussions, and they thrive in environments that reward quick thinking. They're born leaders because they do things, not just plan them. The challenge, though, is learning patience when others can't move as quickly. In relationships, Aries can become irritated by indecisive partners or friends who constantly say, "I don't know." They see indecision as a sign of weakness or lack of direction. The best way to keep Aries happy? Be bold, say what you want, take action. Aries' impatience isn't about arrogance, it's about passion. They have a fire inside that refuses to dim, and they need the world to match that heat. When someone slows them down, it feels like being forced to run underwater. It's suffocating. They despise wasted time because they have a powerful sense that life is short and every second counts. They thrive in challenges, quick thinking, and adrenaline-fueled moments where instinct takes over. When things drag, they lose interest and may even start something new just to feel alive again. Aries also dislikes people who complain but do nothing. For them, complaining without action is the ultimate offense. If something bothers you, fix it, change it, confront it. Don't sit there, that's the Aries mantra. When an Aries is forced to wait, for results, people, or recognition, they'll often create something new in the meantime. They can't stand still, their restlessness is both their curse and their genius. In friendships, Aries is the one pushing everyone to just do it already. Whether it's trying a new restaurant, starting a side hustle, or confessing feelings to a crush, Aries believes hesitation kills opportunity. Their motto, act first, analyze later. If you want to stay on an Aries' good side, keep up with their tempo. Match their urgency, and they'll respect you instantly. Move too slow, and they'll race ahead without looking back. Life to them is a sprint, not a stroll, and they're always chasing the next big victory. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. If there's one thing Taurus values above all else, it's peace, and anyone who disrupts that peace quickly lands on their list of annoyances. Taurus thrives in stable, predictable environments. They're the ultimate creature of habit, loving comfort, routine, and security. When life suddenly shifts or surprises them without warning, it's like shaking the earth beneath their hooves. They despise unnecessary changes, especially ones that interrupt their comfort zone. Move their furniture without asking? Instant silent rage. They won't yell, but the look they give says everything. How dare you disturb my sanctuary? Their space is sacred, carefully curated for calmness and control. Taurus finds joy in the small consistencies of life, the morning coffee ritual, the familiar scent of home, the soft blanket they always use. Disturbing that stability feels like an act of betrayal. They don't just want comfort, they need it to feel grounded. Being rushed is another major Taurus trigger. They move at their own steady, deliberate pace, and anyone trying to speed them up is asking for trouble. You can't rush perfection, and Taurus believes in doing things properly, not quickly. Push them too hard, and you'll see the bull's temper emerge in full force. They also dislike uncertainty. Vague plans, last-minute changes, or people who say, "We'll see," make them uneasy. Taurus prefers solid commitments and clear expectations. Tell them exactly what's happening and when, they'll thank you for it. Comfort isn't laziness for Taurus, it's a form of emotional security. Their favorite foods, cozy environments, and familiar routines act as anchors in a chaotic world. So when someone disrupts that sense of safety, it feels deeply personal. Taurus hates people who are careless with their belongings or dismissive of quality. They appreciate the finer things in life, not because they're materialistic, but because they respect craftsmanship and beauty. When someone treats something valuable with disregard, Taurus feels that sting. They also can't stand loud, dramatic people who create unnecessary tension. Arguments, gossip, chaos, no thanks. Taurus prefers calm, steady energy. If a friend constantly brings drama, Taurus will quietly distance themselves instead of fighting. When it comes to relationships, inconsistency drives them mad. They need reliability. If you say you'll call, call. If you make a promise, keep it. Broken trust is a deal breaker, and once lost, it's nearly impossible to regain. Even at work, Taurus values structure. Sudden policy changes or last-minute deadlines send them into quiet frustration. They like to plan ahead and execute slowly but surely. Disorganization feels like an attack on their sanity. They also hate waste. Wasted time, wasted money, wasted effort. If they invest in something, they expect it to be worthwhile. Half-hearted efforts annoy them. Taurus respects people who follow through and commit fully. When pushed beyond their patience, Taurus doesn't explode immediately. But when they finally do, it's volcanic. They'll tolerate a lot before reaching that point, but once the bull charges, there's no turning back. Their dislike of surprises extends to emotional surprises too. Sudden confessions, unplanned visits, or spontaneous, "let's talk" moments can throw them off balance. They prefer emotional predictability, steady affection over grand gestures. Even their annoyance at being rushed comes from care. Taurus takes time because they want to do things right. Whether cooking, decorating, or building a career, they value patience and consistency. To them, haste equals mistakes, and mistakes equal unnecessary stress. At the end of the day, Taurus doesn't ask for much, just peace, reliability, and a comfortable space where nothing feels out of place. Disrupt that, and you'll see just how strong and unyielding a bull can be. But treat them with stability and respect. They'll give you loyalty that lasts a lifetime. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. Geminis are the restless intellectuals of the zodiac, brilliant, witty, and forever curious. They crave mental stimulation the way others crave air. The moment boredom sets in, it feels like their entire soul starts to wilt. They need excitement, conversation, and variety to feel alive. Monotony is their personal version of purgatory. When life gets predictable, Gemini starts to fidget, mentally, emotionally, even physically. They can't stand repetitive tasks or people who talk in circles. They thrive on fresh ideas, humor, and intelligent debates that challenge their quick minds. Ask them about anything, from philosophy to pop culture, and they'll have an opinion, often two, sometimes three, all contradicting each other but equally fascinating. What truly annoys a Gemini? One-sided conversations. You know the type, people who monologue endlessly without asking questions back. To a Gemini, that's not a conversation, it's punishment. They need dialogue, mental ping-pong, a back-and-forth exchange of ideas that keeps their brain buzzing. When someone drones on without giving them a chance to chime in, they'll zone out faster than a Wi-Fi signal in a thunderstorm. Geminis are ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, which means words are their playground. But if the conversation lacks spark or depth, they'll politely smile while mentally planning their escape. They crave dynamic discussions, humor, and spontaneity. Anything predictable or emotionally flat makes them restless. Rigid routines are another Gemini nightmare. Tell them to do the same thing at the same time every day, and you'll watch their spirit slowly die. They need flexibility, the ability to follow inspiration wherever it leads. They thrive in environments that allow change, creativity, and exploration. Repetition feels like a trap. Try telling a Gemini to focus on one thing at a time, and you'll see their eyes glaze over. Their minds are designed to multitask, to explore multiple universes at once. While others see distraction, Geminis see connection. They can link ideas from completely different worlds and make them make sense. That's their magic. But that same gift can be their curse. When people demand they pick one lane, Gemini feels misunderstood. Their energy is scattered but purposeful. They're not meant to live life in a straight line. They're meant to dance between interests, conversations, and experiences. For them, curiosity is commitment. What drives them crazy are people who take things too seriously or think too slowly. Gemini processes at lightning speed. They love brainstorming, but if someone drags a simple topic into a 5-hour analysis, Gemini mentally checks out. They don't mean to be impatient, they're just moving faster than most people can keep up with. They hate closed-mindedness too. If you can't entertain new perspectives or laugh at yourself, Gemini finds you dull. They appreciate people who can adapt, debate, and evolve. The second someone says, "This is how it's always been," Gemini starts plotting their escape route. Geminis also despise emotional heaviness that lingers too long. While they're perfectly capable of deep empathy, they prefer to keep things light and moving. Endless negativity drains them. They want laughter, cleverness, and the feeling that life is a fun puzzle to solve, not an emotional swamp to sink into. At work, they're at their best when juggling multiple projects. Give them one repetitive task, and they'll procrastinate just to create chaos for excitement. They thrive when trusted to innovate and communicate, but micromanage them, and they'll vanish before your next email loads. Gemini's impatience with boredom also extends to relationships. They can't stand predictability. They need partners who surprise them, challenge them, and make them think. If every date feels the same, they'll start mentally drafting their goodbye text. But when they find someone who can match their quick wit and keep conversations alive, they're loyal and endlessly fascinating. For Gemini, boredom isn't just unpleasant, it's unbearable. They need life to feel like an ongoing conversation, fast, funny, and full of discovery. Anything less, they'll move on to something, or someone, new, without a backward glance. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. Cancer is the emotional heart of the zodiac, sensitive, nurturing, and deeply intuitive. But beneath that soft exterior lies a complex web of feelings that few truly understand. What annoys Cancer the most is emotional insensitivity, when others dismiss their feelings, invade their personal space, or act cold and detached. Cancers feel everything on a deeper level. They don't just experience emotions, they absorb them. When someone brushes off their pain or mocks their sensitivity, it cuts them to the core. Their emotions are sacred, and they expect others to treat them with care. If you tell them to just get over it, they'll never forget that moment of invalidation. They're naturally empathetic, the friend who always knows when something's wrong even if you haven't said a word. But that same emotional radar makes them hypersensitive to tone, energy, and atmosphere. If someone walks into the room with negative vibes, Cancer feels it instantly. And if that person tries to fake politeness, Cancer will know. Cold, distant behavior feels like rejection to them. They need warmth, reassurance, and emotional connection. If you go silent during a disagreement, they don't see it as peace, they see it as abandonment. Their mind fills the silence with worst-case scenarios, and they retreat into their shell, replaying the moment until it bruises their heart. Their safe space, home, family, and trusted friends, means everything. It's where they recharge and feel protected from the harshness of the world. Invade that space without permission, and they'll feel violated. Cancer guards their privacy fiercely. They'll open up when they trust you, not a second sooner. Insensitive comments, even ones meant as jokes, can linger for days. Cancers remember the tone, the timing, the expression, every detail. They may forgive, but they rarely forget. Emotional wounds take longer to heal for them because they attach meaning to everything. Cancer's moodiness often gets misunderstood. They don't sulk for attention, they withdraw to process. When hurt, they need solitude to recalibrate. Forcing them to just talk about it too soon only deepens their irritation. Give them space, and they'll eventually re-emerge, softer and ready to reconnect. They hate people who pretend emotions are weakness. For Cancer, emotions are the deepest form of truth. They admire vulnerability, authenticity, and kindness. Cold logic without empathy feels cruel. They can respect intelligence, but not at the cost of compassion. At work, Cancer gets frustrated by colleagues who ignore human emotion for the sake of efficiency. They value teamwork and care about everyone's well-being. When others act robotic or dismissive, Cancer's motivation withers. They want connection, not competition. In relationships, they despise inconsideration, forgetting birthdays, missing emotional cues, or failing to express affection. To them, love is shown through small acts of care. Remembering how they take their coffee, checking in, offering comfort. When those gestures vanish, they feel unseen. They're easily annoyed by people who mock sensitivity or act like emotions are inconvenient. That attitude feels cruel to them. They'd rather deal with honesty and tears than fake smiles and distance. Cancer's safe space extends beyond home. It's their mental sanctuary. If you push too hard, criticize too harshly, or invade their inner world before being invited, they'll shut down completely. Once their trust is broken, rebuilding it takes time, if it ever happens at all. But here's the thing. When treated with care, Cancer is the most nurturing, loyal, and protective soul you'll ever meet. They'll defend loved ones fiercely and love unconditionally. Their emotional depth is their gift, but also their vulnerability. If you love a Cancer, remember, kindness is their love language. Speak gently, respect their space, and never mock their emotions. Because once they feel emotionally safe, they'll give you a level of love and loyalty that's truly unmatched. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. Leos are the shining stars of the zodiac, bold, confident, and born with an irresistible magnetism that naturally draws people toward them. They live for attention and admiration because, deep down, it validates the warmth and generosity they constantly radiate. But while they adore the spotlight, what truly unsettles them is being ignored, dismissed, or disrespected. To Leo, that's not just rude, it's a wound to their very identity. When a Leo speaks, they expect the room to listen, not because they crave control, but because they tell stories with heart, humor, and drama. They want their audience fully immersed. Interrupt them mid-sentence, and it's as if you've walked onto a stage and snatched the microphone from a headliner. Their inner lion bristles instantly. To them, attention isn't vanity, it's respect. Being overlooked cuts deep because Leo pours passion into everything they do. They want to be seen, not just glanced at. Whether it's a creative project, a heartfelt effort, or simply their presence, they crave acknowledgement that their light has been noticed. Compliment a Leo sincerely, and you'll see them beam brighter than the sun. But ignore their contribution, and that light dims fast. Disrespect, however subtle, is their ultimate trigger. Sarcasm that undermines them, dismissive comments, or people who act unimpressed when they share achievements, those things sting more than you'd think. Leos may seem self-assured, but their pride is deeply tied to how others value them. Recognition isn't about ego, it's about emotional affirmation. They thrive on applause, praise, and positive feedback. A simple, "you did amazing," can lift their mood for days. On the flip side, a lack of appreciation feels like betrayal. They give their best, loyalty, effort, passion, and expect others to respond with gratitude, not indifference. Leos are also storytellers by nature. They bring drama and flair to every conversation, painting pictures with their words. So when someone interrupts them or zones out mid-story, it's not just annoying, it feels disrespectful to their craft. Listening attentively is the greatest gift you can give a Leo. What annoys them even more? People who try to outshine them or steal their moment. Leos are happy to share the spotlight, but they expect mutual respect. Competing for attention in their presence feels like trying to wrestle the sun, unnecessary and a little foolish. They'll either roar or simply walk away, confident that their light doesn't need comparison. At work, Leos shine in leadership roles. But they can't stand being micromanaged or treated as if their ideas don't matter. They're creative visionaries, not background players. When someone questions their competence without reason, their pride flares instantly. Trust and respect fuel their best work. Leos also dislike cynicism. People who constantly downplay joy, art, or celebration drain their energy. They live for enthusiasm and grand gestures, laughter, color, love, excitement. When surrounded by negativity, they wither. They need people who celebrate life as much as they do. In relationships, Leos crave loyalty and admiration. It's not about constant praise, it's about feeling appreciated. A partner who overlooks their efforts or dismisses their emotions quickly loses their favor. But one who uplifts them, makes them feel special, and celebrates their wins will earn their endless devotion. Leos can't stand emotional coldness either. They give love generously and expect it to be returned with warmth. Indifference feels like rejection. If you pull away or act unimpressed, Leo starts questioning the relationship. They need genuine connection, not silent coexistence. Their pride is both armor and vulnerability. When hurt, they won't always show it. They'll mask it with confidence, pretending not to care. But inside, that wound lingers. When Leo feels unappreciated, they may withdraw completely, leaving others wondering why the warmth disappeared. So, if you want harmony with a Leo, it's simple. Listen when they speak, respect their effort, and never belittle their pride. Celebrate them sincerely, they'll return that admiration tenfold, showering you with loyalty, laughter, and light. After all, when the lion feels loved, everyone in their kingdom thrives. Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd. If order had a zodiac sign, it would be Virgo. Precise, detail-oriented, and endlessly analytical, Virgos thrive in environments where everything makes sense, where every object, plan, and word has its rightful place. So, when chaos invades their perfectly organized world, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a full-blown nightmare. Mess, disorganization, and unreliability are the three horsemen of Virgo's inner apocalypse. Virgos see the world through a lens of structure and improvement. They can't help it. Their minds are wired to notice flaws, inefficiencies, and opportunities for refinement. When something is messy or out of order, whether it's a cluttered room, a sloppy project, or an inconsistent person, it grates on their nerves like static noise. They take pride in their precision. Everything they do is thoughtful, intentional, and carefully executed. So when others approach tasks carelessly, Virgo feels personally offended. It's not about control, it's about standards. They believe in doing things right, not halfway. What truly irritates them is inconsistency. People who make promises and don't follow through, who say one thing and do another, drive Virgo crazy. Reliability is sacred to them. When someone flakes, misses deadlines, or breaks trust, Virgo's respect quietly evaporates. Disorganization, whether mental or physical, overwhelms them. A cluttered workspace feels like a cluttered mind. If papers are out of place, tasks unfinished, or plans vague, Virgo's anxiety spikes instantly. Their peace depends on order. They're perfectionists, but not because they want to show off, because they care deeply about results. When something is done poorly, they don't just see it as a mistake, they see it as wasted potential. They're the ones who notice the typo, the crooked frame, or the missing detail everyone else overlooks. Being surrounded by careless people tests their patience like nothing else. They'll try to help at first, to fix, to organize, to guide, but if the pattern repeats, their frustration simmers. Virgos believe in self-responsibility. If someone refuses to take it, they quietly detach. Virgos also despise lateness. Time is structure, and when others disrespect it, it throws off their rhythm. They're the ones who show up 5 minutes early, list in hand, ready to go. Show up 20 minutes late and shrug? Expect a tight smile and silent judgment. At work, they can't handle lazy attitudes or unfinished projects. They value effort, discipline, and precision. When a colleague cuts corners, Virgo's inner critic explodes. They'll redo the task themselves rather than tolerate imperfection. It's not arrogance, it's dedication. In relationships, emotional messiness irritates them too. They prefer calm, logical communication over drama or games. If someone constantly creates chaos, Virgo feels drained. They crave clarity and mutual understanding, not guessing games and mood swings. Virgos also can't stand hypocrisy. Say what you mean what you say, that's their mantra. They value honesty and accountability above all. Lies or manipulation, unforgivable. They'd rather deal with a harsh truth than a comfortable lie. Their annoyance with disorder often extends to themselves. Virgos are their own worst critics. A tiny mistake can spiral into hours of self-analysis. They hold themselves to impossible standards, and when they fall short, they're both judge and jury. However, when someone else ignores those same standards, when people act irresponsibly or sloppily, Virgo's frustration doubles. It's not that they expect perfection from everyone, they just expect effort and awareness. If you want to stay on their good side, be consistent, reliable, and mindful. Follow through, keep your promises, don't hand them chaos and expect gratitude. They'll help you organize your life if you show that you care too. So yes, being neat and punctual might sound simple, but to Virgo, it's a love language, one that speaks louder than any grand gesture. Respect their order, and they'll give you loyalty, wisdom, and calm. Disrespect it, and you'll meet their quiet but unmistakable disapproval, the kind that lingers long after the mess is gone. Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. For Libras, life is meant to be beautiful, graceful, and balanced, a perfectly composed symphony of calm conversation, mutual respect, and aesthetic harmony. So when chaos enters the room, when voices get loud or tempers flare, Libra's inner peace shatters like glass. They despise conflict and bad vibes more than anything. Loud arguments, rude remarks, or blatant disrespect don't just make them uncomfortable, they disturb the very essence of who they are. Libras crave peace the way a plant craves sunlight. They function best in environments filled with kindness, diplomacy, and understanding. When someone starts shouting or being confrontational, Libra's instinct is to smooth things over, to restore balance, to make sure everyone feels heard and valued. But here's the catch, even as they play the peacemaker, inside they're fuming. They'll smile, nod, and mediate, but every harsh word lingers in their mind long after the conversation ends. They can't stand rude or inconsiderate behavior. It's like witnessing a wine glass being shattered at a dinner party, messy, loud, unnecessary. Civility matters deeply to them. They believe life works better when everyone practices basic respect and empathy. People who interrupt, dominate discussions, or dismiss others' opinions leave Libra quietly seething. Negativity is their kryptonite. A pessimistic coworker, an argumentative friend, or a toxic environment drains them completely. They absorb moods like sponges, so when the energy turns sour, they can't function. It's not that they're weak, they simply value emotional equilibrium, and tension throws them off balance. They also hate when people force them to choose sides. Decision-making is already a Libra struggle. They analyze every angle, every consequence, every possible outcome. So when drama demands loyalty to one person or another, Libra feels trapped. They want fairness, not favoritism. Pressure them to take sides, and they'll quietly pull back to protect their sanity. Libras also despise ugliness, not in people's looks, but in energy, attitude, or environment. Harsh lighting, cluttered spaces, or aggressive tones feel physically painful to them. They seek beauty in words, gestures, and surroundings. Harmony isn't just a preference, it's therapy. They get annoyed by people who thrive on chaos. Those who argue just to win, those who enjoy confrontation for its own sake. To Libra, that behavior is barbaric. They believe every disagreement can be resolved with grace. Yelling feels unnecessary and unrefined. Even passive aggression drives them crazy. They'd rather face a calm, honest conversation than deal with hidden resentment. They pick up on tension immediately and can't rest until peace is restored. Libras are naturally diplomatic, but that talent can become a curse. They'll sacrifice their own comfort to keep others happy. Yet when someone repeatedly brings bad energy into their life, their patience slowly dissolves. They'll stop inviting that person in, politely, of course, but decisively. At work, they can't handle cutthroat competition or rude coworkers. They excel in cooperative settings, where everyone's voice is valued. Bullying, gossip, and arrogance disrupt their rhythm. They may not confront the offenders outright, but they'll quietly disengage, finding subtle ways to restore order. In relationships, arguments are torture. They'll do anything to avoid harsh words, sometimes even at the cost of their own feelings. But don't mistake their calm for indifference. When repeatedly hurt or disrespected, Libra eventually snaps, and when they do, it's not loud, it's cold. The warmth disappears, and that's far more devastating. They're most irritated by inconsiderate people who don't understand emotional nuance, the ones who dismiss sensitivity as weakness. To Libra, kindness is strength. Harmony requires intelligence. If you want to stay in Libra's good graces, be polite, calm, and fair. Listen when they speak, avoid drama, and for the love of balance, don't raise your voice. They'll adore you for keeping their peace intact. And if you ever see a Libra smiling through obvious discomfort, know this: behind that diplomatic mask, they're silently screaming for serenity. Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21st. Scorpios are the deep waters of the zodiac, mysterious, intense, and fiercely loyal. But beneath that calm surface lies an emotional force that runs deeper than most people can comprehend. And if there's one thing that truly annoys a Scorpio, it's betrayal, in any form, big or small. They can forgive, yes, but forget? Never. That wound becomes a scar, a permanent reminder that trust, once broken, can never be the same. Loyalty is sacred to Scorpio. They give it wholeheartedly, expecting the same in return. When someone lies, deceives, or breaks a promise, it hits like a physical blow. To them, trust isn't casual. It's a bond sealed with emotional truth. Violate it, and they'll never look at you the same way again. They're also allergic to superficiality. Shallow conversations, fake smiles, and performative friendliness feel unbearable. Scorpio doesn't do small talk, they crave depth. They want to know what drives you, what scares you, what you dream about at 2 a.m. Pretending, posturing, or hiding behind masks only pushes them away. If you're not real with them, they'll sense it instantly. Scorpios have an uncanny emotional radar. They can read lies before the words are even spoken. Insincerity is like a bad smell they can't ignore. They'll stay polite, but internally, they're already retracting their energy. They despise manipulation, too. Play mind games with them, and you'll lose, not because they'll retaliate immediately, but because they'll silently take notes and wait. They observe everything. They'll give you enough rope to reveal your intentions, and when you do, they're gone for good. What's worse than betrayal in their eyes? Betrayal disguised as loyalty. The friend who smiles to your face but gossips behind your back, that's Scorpio's ultimate villain. Once they uncover it, there's no confrontation, no second chance. Just distance. They also hate emotional dishonesty, people who pretend not to care, who hide behind sarcasm or indifference. Scorpio values vulnerability, even if it's messy. They'd rather deal with raw truth than polite lies. When a Scorpio feels betrayed, they retreat into silence. They won't always lash out, but their withdrawal is icy. They'll cut emotional cords so cleanly you'll wonder if they were ever attached. Their revenge isn't chaos, it's absence. Scorpios also can't stand betrayal of confidentiality. Tell them something in confidence, and they'll guard it fiercely. But if you betray their secrets, you've signed the end of your relationship. Trust is their love language, and once broken, it's irreparable. They dislike shallow praise as much as they hate shallow people. Empty compliments or exaggerated flattery ring hollow to their intuition. They value sincerity in all things, emotion, friendship, even conflict. They respect someone who tells the truth bluntly more than someone who sugarcoats it. Fake positivity also grates on them. They're not afraid of darkness or discomfort. Pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not feels insulting to their intelligence. They prefer raw honesty, even when it hurts. When Scorpio loves, they love deeply, completely. That's why betrayal stings so sharply. They invest their whole heart, and losing that trust feels like losing a piece of themselves. But once betrayed, they rarely seek revenge. Instead, they transform the pain into strength, emerging colder but wiser. At work, they're irritated by incompetence hidden behind charm. They respect effort and authenticity, not politics or pretense. When colleagues play games, Scorpio detaches. They see through motives like glass. To stay in their good graces, be genuine, loyal, and brave enough for truth. They can handle any darkness, except deception. Once they know you're real, you'll have their loyalty for life. But cross that invisible line, lie, cheat, manipulate, and you'll learn the true meaning of Scorpio's sting. Not loud, not public, but permanent. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. Sagittarius is the restless wanderer of the zodiac, the philosopher with a backpack, a passport, and an unshakable belief that life is meant to be explored. These freedom-loving souls thrive on expansion, movement, and discovery. They crave wide horizons, both physical and intellectual, and nothing annoys them more than confinement, emotional, physical, or mental. To Sagittarius, trapped is the dirtiest word in the dictionary. They live for adventure, not routine. Doing the same thing every day feels like slow suffocation. A predictable schedule drains their vitality faster than jet lag ever could. They need change, surprise, and stimulation, whether it's a last-minute road trip, a spontaneous debate, or a brand new project that pushes them out of their comfort zone. When someone tries to cage a Sagittarius, with rules, obligations, or emotional control, the reaction is instant rebellion. They start planning their escape before you finish the sentence. Clinginess is their personal nightmare. It doesn't matter how much they love someone. If they feel their freedom slipping away, their spirit bolts for the door. They're born explorers, not just of places, but of ideas. Tell a Sagittarius that something can't be done, and you've just issued a challenge. They'll move mountains to prove you wrong, not out of arrogance, but because limitation feels unnatural to them. They're designed to expand, to test boundaries, to question the status quo, to see what's beyond the next horizon. Rules and restrictions frustrate them deeply. Bureaucracy, routine paperwork, or jobs with no creative flexibility feel like prisons. They crave autonomy and trust. When micromanaged, they lose interest. Give them freedom, and they'll surprise you with brilliance and results that come from genuine passion. They also can't stand narrow-mindedness. Sagittarius believes life is a vast classroom, and every culture, every person, every experience is a lesson. People who refuse to learn or who judge others for being different drain their enthusiasm. Dogma, religious, political, or social, is their greatest enemy. In conversation, they hate small talk. Ask them about philosophy, meaning, or the future, that's where they light up. But start gossiping or complaining about trivial things, and they'll mentally check out. They hunger for depth and expansion, not pettiness or negativity. At work, they chafe under strict hierarchies. They need trust, not constant supervision. If you tell them, "This is the way we've always done it," they'll find a new way just to prove there's another path. They're innovators disguised as dreamers. Relationships are where their need for freedom becomes most misunderstood. Sagittarius can love deeply, but they love best when they feel free. Free to roam, to think, to evolve. Clinginess or control doesn't make them feel loved, it makes them feel trapped. The right partner gives them space, knowing they'll always return with new stories and renewed passion. They also dislike pessimism. Their natural optimism drives them forward, and they can't stand people who constantly focus on what could go wrong. They'd rather leap and learn midair than stand still overthinking the jump. Routine kills their creativity. They need experiences that make their hearts race, new sights, sounds, and sensations. Sitting still too long makes them restless, even anxious. Their energy demands movement, growth, and new frontiers to conquer. They also hate dishonesty and hypocrisy. Sagittarius values truth above comfort. They'll respect someone who disagrees with them but despise anyone who lies or pretends. Authenticity is their compass. So what truly annoys a Sagittarius? Anything, or anyone, that tries to limit their freedom, dim their optimism, or tell them they can't. They're the embodiment of "watch me." Try to cage them, and they'll fly higher than ever, proving that no boundary can hold them for long. Give them space, give them honesty, give them adventure, and you'll see the happiest version of Sagittarius, a free spirit whose laughter can light up any horizon. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. Capricorn is the builder of the Zodiac, disciplined, ambitious, and unshakably determined. They climb life's mountains one steady step at a time, never losing sight of their goals. But while they respect hard work and structure, they have little patience for laziness, excuses, or disorganization. Nothing irritates a Capricorn more than people who talk big but deliver small. They despise lack of ambition. To Capricorn, life is a mission, every effort should have purpose. Watching someone waste their potential feels painful to them. They believe in progress, not perfection, and they expect everyone to contribute their best. When someone constantly shirks responsibility, Capricorn loses respect immediately. Excuses make their skin crawl. "I didn't have time, I forgot," or "I'll do it later," or phrases that translate in their mind to "I don't care enough." They value action over words. If something matters, you make it happen. End of story. Laziness, especially when paired with entitlement, drives them mad. They've worked for every achievement they have, and seeing others expect rewards without effort feels unjust. To them, success is earned, never handed out. They also can't stand chaos. Disorder, in plans, finances, or priorities, feels like failure to them. They find peace in structure. When people around them are scattered or careless, Capricorn's anxiety spikes. They'll quietly take control just to restore order. Capricorns are natural leaders because they see systems and solutions. But when others resist structure or dismiss their organization as too strict, it frustrates them. They don't plan for control, they plan for efficiency. They want things done right the first time. At work, they're allergic to unproductive meetings, vague instructions, or teammates who don't pull their weight. They believe time is money, and wasting either feels disrespectful. They thrive on schedules, deadlines, and measurable results. They also can't stand people who brag without substance. Capricorn measures worth through consistency, not noise. Someone who boasts about big dreams but never follows through quickly loses their respect. Procrastination is another pet peeve. Capricorns are doers, methodical, patient, and pragmatic. They believe in small, consistent steps. Watching someone repeatedly avoid responsibility feels like watching a slow-motion car crash they can't stop. In relationships, laziness or lack of ambition is a deal-breaker. Capricorn needs a partner who dreams big, works hard, and follows through. They respect effort and discipline, not empty promises. They also dislike financial irresponsibility. Money isn't everything to Capricorn, but stability is sacred. Reckless spending or careless planning drives them insane. They prefer slow growth to quick collapse. Capricorns get annoyed when people underestimate their seriousness. They may seem reserved, but that focus is their superpower. They're not emotionless, they're goal-oriented. When others mock their discipline or call them boring, they quietly file that person under, doesn't get it. What also irritates them is lack of accountability. When someone refuses to admit mistakes, Capricorn loses patience. They believe in owning your actions, learning, and improving. Passing blame feels cowardly to them. They thrive in environments where everyone knows their role and contributes with pride. Chaos, disorganization, and inconsistency drain their energy. They'd rather do it all themselves than rely on people who don't deliver. Even in their personal lives, they can't stand clutter, mental or physical. Disarray feels like lost potential. Their mind clears when their surroundings are clean, their plans are in place, and their goals are defined. Earn a Capricorn's respect through consistency and effort, and they'll trust you forever. But cross them with laziness or chaos, and you'll never regain their confidence. For Capricorn, life isn't a game, it's a climb. And only those willing to put in the effort deserve a spot beside them on the mountain. Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th. For Aquarius, the visionary of the zodiac, nothing is more irritating than narrow-mindedness. These are the thinkers, the dreamers, the innovators who live 10 steps ahead of everyone else. Their world is built on ideas, possibilities, and progress. So when someone clings to outdated beliefs or refuses to think beyond what's comfortable, Aquarius feels like they're trapped in a cage made of small talk and stubbornness. They can't stand people who follow the crowd blindly. Groupthink, conformity, and the phrase, "that's just how it's always been," are their ultimate triggers. Aquarius thrives on originality, and when they encounter people who mock or reject new perspectives, it feels like an attack on their very identity. They live for mental stimulation, for conversations that challenge and expand their understanding of the world. So when someone refuses to engage in open-minded dialogue, or worse, dismisses their ideas without listening, Aquarius shuts down. It's not that they need everyone to agree with them, they just need the freedom to explore without judgment. They're the rebels with a cause, allergic to rigid systems and controlling attitudes. When someone tries to dictate how they should think, behave, or live, they quietly detach. Try to box them in, and they'll vanish without warning, like air slipping through your fingers. Independence is their oxygen. Clinginess is another instant annoyance. Aquarius values connection, but only when it's balanced with personal space. They're friendly, social, and compassionate, but emotional dependency feels suffocating to them. They need relationships that allow both people to grow individually while still sharing something meaningful. If you start checking in every 5 minutes or demanding constant reassurance, they'll begin planning their escape. They also can't tolerate gossip or superficial chatter. Small talk feels like static to their hyperactive minds. They want to discuss ideas, innovations, social movements, not who wore what or who said what. They'd rather spend an evening alone lost in thought than waste it on meaningless conversation. Authority figures who demand obedience without reason drive them up the wall. Aquarius questions everything, not out of defiance, but because they believe in truth, not tradition. "Because I said so" is a phrase that makes their brain short-circuit. They need logic, purpose, and fairness behind every rule. They also dislike emotional manipulation. They're deeply empathetic, but they process emotions through intellect, not impulse. When someone tries to guilt-trip or control them emotionally, they withdraw completely. Emotional freedom is just as vital to them as physical or mental independence. Aquarius is also frustrated by people who resist progress, those who complain about change instead of adapting to it. Whether it's technology, culture, or social evolution, Aquarius believes growth is essential. Watching people fight against innovation feels like watching someone refuse to upgrade from a flip phone in 2025. In friendships and relationships, they're loyal but unconventional. They don't need constant contact to feel close. They prefer bonds based on mutual understanding rather than dependency. When someone misreads their independence as indifference, it annoys them deeply. they care, they just express it differently. They're also irritated by hypocrisy and double standards. If you preach open-mindedness but judge others, Aquarius will quietly call you out, or, more likely, stop taking you seriously altogether. Authenticity is sacred to them. Predictability makes them restless. They thrive on surprise, discovery, and the thrill of the unknown. Routines are fine for others, but for Aquarius, monotony feels like intellectual starvation. They need change, new environments, new ideas, new challenges, to feel alive. Give them space, let them be weird, and respect their independence, and you'll have a friend or partner who brings the future to your doorstep. Try to control them, though, and they'll disappear faster than your phone battery at 1%. Pisces, February 19th to March 20th. Pisces, the dreamer of the zodiac, moves through life guided by emotion, intuition, and imagination. They see the world not just as it is, but as it could be, a place filled with art, compassion, and magic. So when that world is tainted by harsh criticism, cruelty, or coldness, it wounds them deeply. These gentle souls feel everything, and that sensitivity is both their strength and their vulnerability. Harshness of any kind, words, tone, or attitude, cuts them to the core. They're not built for cruelty. When someone mocks their feelings, dismisses their dreams, or scoffs at their creativity, it feels like being told their heart doesn't matter. And for Pisces, that's unbearable. They hate negativity, not because they're naive, but because they understand how heavy it feels. Constant complaining, pessimism, or judgmental energy drags them down like an anchor. They prefer to see the good, to believe in redemption and beauty, even when others can't. When surrounded by cynicism, they quietly drift away, seeking peace elsewhere. They can't stand cruelty, to people, animals, or the planet. Pisces feels everything on a spiritual level. Seeing others hurt, even indirectly, makes them ache. They're the ones who cry at sad movies, who apologize to plants after trimming them, who pick up a stranger's dropped belongings out of instinct. Mocking their imagination is another unforgivable sin. Pisces lives half in this world, half in one of their own creation. Their creativity is their lifeline, whether through art, music, writing, or daydreaming. When someone belittles that, it's like trying to erase a part of their soul. They also despise insensitivity, people who say, "You're too emotional," or "You're overreacting," without trying to understand what they feel. Those words stay with Pisces forever. They don't need fixing, they need empathy. Harsh criticism feels personal to them, even when it's not meant that way. They take everything to heart, analyzing not just what was said but the emotion behind it. One careless comment can haunt them for days. They're annoyed by people who see vulnerability as weakness. For Pisces, being open and compassionate is the ultimate form of courage. It takes strength to care in a world that often rewards indifference. Cold, logical energy also wears them down. They admire intelligence, but they need emotional warmth to connect. Conversations that lack soul feel empty. They crave emotional resonance, the feeling that someone gets them. Negativity in environments, constant arguing, toxic workplaces, or pessimistic circles, suffocates them. Pisces absorbs energy like water, and when the vibe turns sour, their inner peace evaporates. They also can't handle being rushed or pressured. Their creativity flows best in calm, intuitive bursts, not under strict deadlines or criticism. When pushed too hard, they shut down completely. Pisces is empathetic to a fault. They'll forgive people who hurt them repeatedly, hoping they'll change. But deep down, they never forget how it felt. Eventually, they withdraw, quietly, gracefully, and completely. Cruel jokes, sarcasm, or mockery make them flinch. They'd rather be surrounded by silence than by people who confuse harshness with humor. They also dislike practical cynics who dismiss their dreams as unrealistic. To Pisces, imagination is realism, because without dreams, nothing meaningful gets built. When someone betrays their trust or mocks their kindness, Pisces doesn't retaliate. They simply drift away, leaving only a ghost of what once was. Their silence is their defense. If you want to stay close to a Pisces, handle their heart gently. Offer kindness instead of critique, patience instead of pressure, warmth instead of cold analysis. Pisces doesn't ask for perfection, only compassion. And when you give it, they'll give back a kind of love, inspiration, and understanding that few others can match. But cross them with cruelty or coldness, and they'll swim away without a splash, leaving you to wonder how someone so soft could disappear so completely. So, which one made you say, "That's totally me"? Or, better yet, "That's exactly my best friend"? Share your zodiac sign in the comments. I'm curious who gets annoyed the most. And if you enjoyed this cosmic breakdown, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and check out the other astrology videos linked below. The stars are always talking, are you listening?